Jack, hello.
Hi Lisa, you okay?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you, yeah.
I know I've managed to catch you in between two productions. I know you've been really, really busy recently.
Well, yeah, I like to try and stay busy.
And you're off in a few days. Tomorrow, is it? You're off to Liverpool for a few days.
I am, yeah. I'm off to go and watch a concert up in Liverpool. With a couple of my mates. I'm really looking forward to that.
Wicked, who are you seeing?
I'm watching them. So this is a bit of a niche artist, to be fair. I said it to my cousins the other day, and they looked at me like I was weird. But it's a rapper called Yeet.
Oh, okay. Okay, tell us more. Where's he from?
I not a clue. He's from somewhere in America. I quite like his music. My mates had a spare ticket going. I love Liverpool, so that was my main reason, really. So I just thought I'd go along with it, go along with them, and so here I am going tomorrow at like 10 a.m. So
Wicked. Where's the gig in Liverpool? Is it in somewhere iconic?
No, I think it's just in one of the arenas there. In all honesty, I still haven't actually managed to dig up the ticket yet. So I'm kind of reliant on my, which is normally not normal with me, but I'm kind of reliant on my friends to take me where I need to be.
Well, excuse the pun, Jack, but it sounds like you're going on a magical mystery tour by the Beatles.
Yeah, we're in a yellow submarine, but
yeah, in a yellow submarine. I love it. So, Jack, you left us in May, about 6 months or so ago, and I've got to be honest. You were as one of our crew apprentices. Oh my God, we never saw you. You were always out.
Yeah, I was very lucky with that. I had so my first placement happened within after those first initial 2 weeks where you do with the starter courses, and that's where I went to Guerrilla post-production as a office runner.
Right.
And that was really fun. I met the team at Guerrilla were brilliant with me.
Yeah.
Like I made friends there, which I consider friends for life. And I learned so much about the post-production world, which in my training slash like uni, I didn't really learn too much about that. And it was something that I was able to kind of just get involved with and see what all the editors were doing, asking questions and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed my time with Gorilla. But yeah, you are right. I didn't really have that much time in the Skill Company offices.
No, it was at that fly by night. Oh, Jack's coming in. Oh no, he's not. He's off again.
Yeah. I was in for a week and then I was gone for another 6 months or something.
which is really what we want to hear, how we want it to be. It doesn't always work out for that like that for everybody. It just depends what that apprentice wants, what sort of job role they want. But tell me about where you were before you came to us, because we were talking about this earlier. I know that you'd applied earlier on in the year for an apprenticeship with Skill Cymru, and you'd applied for the March, but you were in the middle of doing something in college, weren't you?
Yeah, so I was doing a foundation degree in media production in Coleg Gwent in Crosskeys.
Right.
It's only a 2-year course, third year, then you get the full degree. But I had already done. I was lucky enough to do a traineeship in Newport, where I live, and I kind of gathered from that. I met someone actually on while I was on that job. It was Sex Ed season 4. I met a locations trainee called Matt Marias,
right.
and he was Skill Cymru, and I remember asking him about. Because before that I wasn't really aware that there was many media apprenticeships outside of like BBC and ITV, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So when I first heard about Skill Cymru, I was really intrigued. So I applied. So I applied while I was still on my course.
Right.
I went in for the. I remember going into the interview, meeting you, Sue, Nadine. And we kind of discussed, and I did mention it was I was still in the middle of a course, and I'd have to leave the course in order to do this.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that there was another intake of apprenticeships after my course had finished. So I think, all being said, I think it was better for me to go on that second intake of apprentices.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we always try and let people finish if they've been working on a course or a diploma or whatever, or A-levels. It's nice that you guys get to finish it before coming to us, because it just seems a waste of your time otherwise, doesn't it?
Yeah, and and what I said earlier, I was like, it's good to have that qualification, and now I have that qualification under my belt, as well as now my apprenticeship as well. So I was really grateful for that, and I was really lucky that there was another intake of apprentices a few months later, when I had finished my course, and so all kind of aligns.
Yeah, it all worked out, because it sort of worked really, because we had an intake of 3 of you in the March and 3 of you in the May, and as often as we could, we'd get you in together, but that was all to do with that was all production led, who was available where and when.
Yeah.
So how long? So you did have a week or two with Ella and Jason, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Me, Ella, and Jason have like a little group chat that we still have, and we still use to this day, where we will ask questions, ask what everyone else is on. Like, I think one of us will do for like, how is everyone getting on? Is everyone okay? I actually met up with Jason not too long ago for coffee in Newport, just to see how he was, because we were just talking about the current state of the industry, what jobs he had heard of, and everything like that. And yeah, so we still keep in touch, and like, it's really nice because I'll be able to go on, and even on my last job, I was on my last job with Bethan from the cohort before me.
Yeah, Bethan Jenkins.
Yeah, Bethan Jenkins, and it was really nice because I'd obviously met Bethan before, and like, it was nice to have that familiar face that I could go to if I needed to say anything to her department. I knew I had like a safe place to tell someone, and so it's nice like seeing like your fellow apprentices on different things, and seeing them outside of apprenticeship now is
definitely. That's the best thing about it, really. I mean, having worked in the industry myself, I know that when I was put on jobs and I know that sound man, or I know that AD, or it just gives you that sense of starting something. You're not overwhelmed, do you?
Yeah, definitely, and that's why not to jump ahead, but I consider myself very lucky with the first job I had after Skill Cymru, and now the job I'm about to go on to again, not again, sorry, a different job I'm about to go on to is with the same production team as I was, and now I know I've got the familiar faces in Bailey, Devon, and Neve, who my production team I work with, and I know how they work. It's nice. I'm looking forward to this next job.
Brilliant. Is it the same production team then that you did Mr. Burton with then?
Yeah, same, more or less same production. Oh yeah, same production team as I did with Mr. Burton. And it was more or less the same production team I did with my last placement with Skill Cymru, which was Dope Girls.
Ah, okay.
That's where I met Bailey and Devon for the first time, and then I had the pleasure of meeting Neve on Mr. Burton. And it's brilliant team.
Yeah, do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head, really. It's amazing how small the world is when the drama and production in Wales. When you are in contact and seeing the same people, you think it's not as big as I thought it would be.
No, definitely not. No, especially when you bump into random people on like or either on a night out, or you go you're saying, "Oh, I recognise you." It is very small industry.
Definitely. But tell me a bit about, did you have any experience before you came to us a year and a half ago?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that I was lucky enough to get myself on a 3-week which was originally meant to be 2 weeks placement with Film Cymru on Sex Ed season 4. in Newport. They were looking for trainees in and around for Newport postcode to go and spend time with them for well, it was originally meant to be 2 weeks, but it kind of worked out for me what I did for free, because I covered for the production runner on the week he had a holiday week.
Oh, great.
So I covered for him for that 3rd week, so I had 3 weeks instead of 2. So that was with Film Cymru. That was really good. I learned a lot. That was where I first realised that I want to be in this industry, and that I need to start looking for other outlets and places that I can go to for more information. That's how I first found out about Skill Cymru. Through there was a locations assistant on there who was a Skill Cymru apprentice called Matt Marias.
So Matt was on CRIW apprenticeship when you met him, yeah?
Yeah. So he was on CRIW, and he was actually wearing, for one day he was wearing a Skill Cymru t-shirt. Yeah, and I was like, I was like, oh, what's that? I don't know I didn't know what Skill Cymru was at the time, and he was like, oh, it's my apprenticeship agency. I was like, oh, okay, and then I started talking to him more about it, and that's when I first heard about Skill Cymru and got me intrigued, and started to look out for when they were next doing intakes.
So that was really word of mouth then that you found out about.
Definitely, yeah, because I know in uni there wasn't really much of that in terms of like, because the only thing that you had in there, while I was in uni, I was able to do it to my shout,
right?
Which that was really good. That was another like stepping stone almost to me realizing I wanted to continue in this industry, because I love to. That was good because It's My Shout got us heavily involved in the pre-production element of it, and but I've been able to use that now on like different jobs, and know that, like, when people are in creative sessions, not to disturb them. Stuff like that. Yeah.
So remind me now, It's My Shout, is that done through the BBC?
So I believe It's My Shout is BBC. I think they've got some other funding from Bad Wolf, I believe, and some other funding. But yeah, so it's basically you get someone writes a script, and one of my class members, Becca, wrote a script for It's My Shout, and they chose it, and chose for it to be to put it on. To put on for and basically we did the whole production cycle of it, and then eventually at the end of it we got to see it on TV on BBC Two.
Brilliant. And this is you working with professionals in the industry, yeah?
Yeah. So I was lucky. I managed to blag myself a trainee assistant producer or something like that.
Wow.
Role. I was very much down to my lecturer pushing for that, but and I spent a lot of time with Anto, who he was the producer on that round of It's My Shout, and he previously was a locations manager.
Right, okay.
And he was doing his first go at producing. I learned a lot from Anto, because he was heavily involved in making sure me and Bryony, who also had for role as an assistant producer, we were heavily involved in pre-production, and we were kind of a go-between between the college and for It's My Shout, so we were able to like communicate and stuff like that between them.
I get you. Is it during It's My Shout that you sort of had an insight to all the different careers within the film industry?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I didn't, because obviously I loved my TV and I loved my film before I had even thought about doing this being in this industry. But you don't realize how, like, even on like a very, very low budget 5-minute film, how many people are involved in it.
No.
That was something I had to kind of get my head around.
Yeah, so all those different jobs, I know. Well, that's what used to get me going about TV and film was when people say, "Oh, I want to work in TV or I want to work in film." I said, "Yeah, but where? I mean, there's hundreds of different
Yeah.
jobs. Where do you want to be? You know?"
Yeah, and also a lot of them are sometimes can be pretty niche in
Yeah.
terms of like I always try and be like, oh yeah, they've got there's jobs in the film industry for you. I say to my electrician mates, I say to my carpenter mates,
Yes.
oh, there's carpenters in the film industry, but it's like very hard to actually go from that to try and get into, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. I was involved with somebody who was a domestic electrician, then he went in to be a spark, you know, a TV electrician. And the way he got in was that he spoke Welsh, and there was a demand for Welsh language spark at the time, you know. But I think if you've done your for an electrician or you know, carpentry sort of exams and stuff, and you're you're there, you're halfway there in a way, aren't you then? But as you said, Jack, you are right, it is then the next step of getting in with the right people or the right teams, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And but it's good once you do get in with the right people and the right teams.
Yeah,
because if I can say from my perspective, I feel like I've been able to I've done that now, in terms of I was able to get myself in with like a good team with the Mr. Burton team. And now I'm following them on to the next job, so it does work once you do. But
yeah, definitely. So when did you decide, really? Was there ever another thought in your mind that you might have fancied locations, or you might have fancied the sound, or the camera department, or was it always sort of production office or runners or a third AD type jobs that you were into from the start?
So not really, because it's my shout. I like the idea because I always remember how I managed to blag myself this assistant producer's role was because he'd come in for Anto had come in to talk to us about for how pre-production was going, and my teacher was like, oh, okay, but and I talked to my teacher about it before and saying, can you ask them if they can get me in with the production department? Because I when we were going over or for different departments, I kind of liked the fact that production was kind of central in it all. So but I think what first made me like for production department was it's my shout, and being able to be the middleman in that, and doing a lot of go-betweens and being the messenger and stuff like that. I enjoyed that. In terms of me, I think I helped. Where I did a couple of days I was able to do a couple of days on floor as an AD,
right,
on Dope Girls on my last placement with Scale Cymru, and the team were very nice enough to let me do 2 days, and I just remember thinking, oh, I really do like production. But yeah,
did that change your mind then? You thought maybe I don't want to be on the floor? Yeah,
it did. Not because I wouldn't ever. I don't know whether or not it was just because of the situation. It was a very stressful last couple of days.
right.
And going into a new environment, because it's really weird how different pace, how much of a different pace there is from the floor to like office side of the TV and film industry. And I just don't think I was ready for it. But I wouldn't ever put it past. I'd love to be an AD again. I don't think I was ready for it at the time. But
no, I know what you mean. I used to work on a live, an 1 hour live show, once a week live show, and so a lot of my jobs is booking bands, booking guests, and stuff like that. So 4 days a week, I was doing logistics, booking, sorting out contracts, and all that sort of stuff. And then that day during the live show, we'd have rehearsal. We'd rehearse all day, and then we'd go live between 9 and 10 at night. And the pace of that day always sort of stepped up 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, and I wasn't an AFM, or I wasn't floor managing or assistant floor managing. I was just making sure my guests turned up and making sure they're in the green room and all that. but everything was like 100 miles an hour from where behind my laptop and on my phone in my desk. At my desk was far calmer, and then that day just seemed to become manic.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't. I just don't think I was prepared for that mentally because I always remember the first day I had on the floor. I was with Alex Fee, who is a really good third AD slash floor runner. And she was I was kind of shadowing her base running, and I didn't
Right.
realize how like time sensitive base running is, because obviously like actors need to be in trucks by a certain time, and they need to be out of the trucks by a certain time. Anything that, like, you know, if the actor arrives late, that pushes on things. They need to communicate. It was like I wasn't ready for for that in my head. I'd gone from a production office that was kind of winding down,
Yes.
to
Mania.
to mania, yeah, literally.
I know. I get that on that day of filming. I get your band haven't turned up. Where are they? There are 3 females. We need them in the makeup chair now. Rehearsals are starting. You know, we've got 5 cameras waiting, and it was like, like
Yeah.
you know, working with musicians, as you might learn. I don't know whether you work with any yet, but they're not they're great. Kind of my parents are musicians, but they're not always on time.
I've got a friend which is a musician, and he's never on time. So
Yeah, or their cars are unreliable.
yeah, I know.
You know, or they can't afford to fix the car, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Not all musicians, but at the time.
No, not every single one of them, but
Well, it's like you know. I think what we're talking about is the knock-on effect from one thing. It's like a domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it's
I wasn't ready for that.
I know, and I think, you know, the first time you do it, it's all a bit woo. When you go in there second and third time, you know how important it is to get your people in that makeup chair or in their costume, and
because it was weird that first day. Sorry to interrupt. That first day, I really found it hard. I found it difficult. And I was, you know, had a bit of the wobblies, and I was like, oh, do I want to do another day on it? But the second day was much easier, because I was ready for what was like gonna come at me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, okay, maybe I wouldn't swear it off again.
No.
But I know what I'm getting myself into this time.
Yes.
But yeah, but these are all opportunities I was able to kind of like figure out for myself because of Skill Cumbria, and because my production team was so nice enough to let me go and do that. And now I've got something else under my belt now. But
Definitely.
yeah.
So you were with Gorilla. Were you with Gorilla post-production for a couple of months?
Yeah, I believe it was 3 or 4 months I was with Gorilla. It was I knew it was because it was when I started in May, I left in September.
Right.
And so it was kind of a summer. So I had what I kind of refer to as like my summer with Gorilla. And
yes.
yeah, so I was with them for a bit of time, and that's where, like, I liked that because I knew I didn't have like a month to cram in as much like as I can, if you get what I mean. Like I have in order, like, you know, I wasn't a month in order to find out what ADR is, what the machine room does, what the booking desks does. I was able to kind of just naturally find that out by talking to the people. Like, but you know, I got friendly with the bookings teams and for machine room, and that's when, and particularly for machine room, they were lovely. Because I was able to go in there and like they would literally break it down to me and show me all the moving parts about how like a high functioning edit house runs, because the machine room is kind of what it is, literally the machine room of it. So it was really interesting to talk to the team in there and kind of learn that, and everyone was very accommodating of me.
So in a way, it was great because you're sort of seeing what happens after the shoot is done, or the day end, where the rushes go to, or whether you know, before the post-production, before the editing starts, or
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
have Gorilla they've got they edit sound as well, do they?
Yeah, they do. And actually, I was one of my favorite people there was I forget his last name, but his name was Sean, and he was in the dubbing department in Gorilla. And I always remember he showed me an extract of something that was passing through, and he had made a soundtrack almost for like creaking bones and stuff like that, and he's showing me how he got it, how he done it. And I always remember that because it was really cool, because he showed me it without it, and then he showed me it with the soundtrack, and it just completely changed it.
Amazing.
And I thought I got a lot of respect. I had a lot of respect then after that, because it was really interesting how, like, you know, what I said about It's My Shout earlier, about how many people are involved in it because it for the shoot, but there's also so many people involved in the post-production aspect of it as well.
Yes. Well, in a way, sometimes where the magic happens.
Yeah, especially if something goes wrong in the shoot, and then you kind of have to fix it there. But
yeah, definitely. So from Gorilla, Jack, where did you go then?
So I had a bit of a break in between, and then I went straight on to Label One's Saving Lives in Wales, Cardiff rather. Sorry, I always say Saving Lives in Wales or Saving Lives in Cardiff, because even by the time I was done with that production, I wasn't sure what they were going to name it, so I always I always called it for the wrong thing. But that was with Label One's that was with Label One, a factual company, who unfortunately, actually, I forgot to say this, Lisa, but they're not. They folded the other week.
Oh, do you know what, Jack? That's the second company now I've heard that folded recently. It's bad times, isn't it? It's sad times.
It is. It's really yeah. It was quite sad, actually. And especially considering they are literally having something air like right now, which was Saving Lives in Cardiff.
I got to be honest. When the series started, I instantly thought of you, because I remember when you were out on location and in production doing this. You know.
Yeah.
I had watched a couple. I used to be squeamish, but I'm not anymore. I think after you've had a baby, you're not squeamish. Do you know what I mean? But I was following the stories and the lives of people you were following, and you probably lived and breathed that series for the whole time you were doing it, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, because I was a production trainee on that, so I was very much like in the production department, but obviously in the hospital, I was still based in the hospital. I was still like, I would see for researching teams that would go out. I'd speak to them. They would talk to us about the cases and stuff like that. So it was brilliant to watch the series and kind of be like, oh, I know, like, oh, I know, I met him, I met her. You know, like, oh, I know what happens here. Or I remember there was one particularly where there was a case where they were operating on a lady who had unfortunately had a terminal brain cancer, and they were doing an operation on her to prolong her life a little bit further. And she had been given so for researching teams of Ria and Mickey, they had researched us all, and they had Mickey, the director, had gone out and shot a lot of follow-up work and stuff, not follow-up work.
Sort of continuity out of the
yeah. So they kind of already they had a relationship with her, and like, so it was I heard all of that, and then she was getting married as a part of one of her wishes, and a charity was paying for her wedding, and they needed an extra hand in order to help out for wedding, and to help film it, because the shooting team was filming for wedding for the show. So I went along with that. I went along with them, And that was
That's
when I
fantastic.
kind of, you're in the hospital and you see so many people going back and forth, and you wonder, oh, they're here for a reason, and you kind of, you get the backstory of a lot. You get a backstory of it, and you realize that like every person has a story almost. And
Yes.
it opened that placement really opened my eyes, and it changed me a lot as a person and how I look at the world. Not to get all sentimental or anything, but it did change me a lot. But yeah.
Yeah, I imagine you had to be very sensitive to these people and to the nature of the work that the doctors and nurses were doing. And what I mean is, it sort of changes the atmosphere of a production team, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
if someone's having bad news and you're going to be filming that, you're not going to be going, "Anyone want a bacon butty?" Oh no,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be very sensitive, and you have to change your nature from maybe listen to Radio 1 on the way into work, and then whoomph, you know, got to
Yeah.
change your way of thinking, haven't you?
Yeah. And just in terms of that as well, I was really lucky with again, I love saying that I've been really lucky, but I genuinely have. The production team on that with Megan and Gareth, they were brilliant in terms of support, in terms of getting me to learn stuff and getting me to go out. They were the ones that were like, oh yeah, go go ahead to go to this wedding, go and help with GV shoots, go on to the operation, go on to the operating into the operating theatres and stuff.
Wow.
And they were pushing me out, but they were also there in terms of like, you know, and to remind me about sensitivity and like and all that type of stuff, and about resources that the team could use just in case anything did go wrong, and about how to kind of cope with that and how to process that. And yeah,
I'm sure you went through a lot of different emotions every day on while shooting that series.
Yeah, especially with the children's hospital there.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of times that I would generally, because I as much as I like to say, oh yeah, I was out shooting and stuff, I was very much just dropping off water and then coming back, and you know, but all I could think of is how like for mental resilience that the shooting teams had, and for doctors and the nurses, in order to kind of be able to brush this off and keep on going and keep on thinking like they've got an objective to achieve.
Yes.
Yeah, it was because going on to some of the wards, especially some of the operating wards, was quite hard. But
you know, I know, you know, illnesses and stuff like that. I know you've been privy to a few things, Jack, and you know, even going to a hospital just to see your close relatives can be hard, can't it?
Yeah.
But going in with a film crew,
that's kind of what made me realize as well, with like with every person has a story bit about it, was because I remember being in that position in terms of going to see a loved one, and like the thoughts going through my head and like the emotions and stuff like that. So I was very sympathetic towards like and then having the idea that a camera might be in my face and I need to not in my face, but like I need to kind of compose myself in order to be in front of a camera. I had a lot of respect for the patients on that series, to say the least. But
I mean, it is, you know, it's saving lives, it's also sharing lives, isn't it? It's sharing their lives with us, the viewers, you know.
Definitely.
How long were you on that shoot for, Jack? How long did that
I believe I was 2.5 months, 3 maybe. I really enjoyed Factual, and actually while I had just come off Mr. Burton, I was telling my team that it started airing as I was finishing up on Mr. Burton. And I remember telling my team, I was like, oh, I really fancy trying to get back into Factual. But that's where I learned another thing about this industry, which there's the generalization of it's TV and film, but obviously there's more drama in Wales than there is Factual.
Yes.
So while I was going out there looking for Factual TV work, unfortunately there wasn't that much of it.
Okay.
So that was something I kind of had to learn, and sometimes you just have to adapt and go with a job that means you've got, you know, some sort of income for the next 6 months rather than waiting on something that might never come. But
No,
yeah,
that's good about you, Jack. You have done quite a lot of diversity. I'm thinking of the type of jobs you've done has been great over the last year and a half, isn't it?
yeah, and I've been, that's the thing, I've been able to have that through Skill Cymru, and because I came off, right now I've done a factual TV show. I've worked in a post-production office, and I've done a film and a TV drama.
Brilliant.
I've been lucky. I've been lucky with all the help I've gotten. But yeah.
So I was going to ask you. It hasn't put you off the industry, is it? Do you feel you're in the right place?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's a bit weird because before, like, I used to think, oh, I could do this with my degree if I needed to, but I just don't see myself being in another industry now.
No.
Because I love it so much, and it's really good about in Wales that it is starting to seem like there's a bit of an uptake in this industry here in Wales, and I feel like, the stars are aligning. But I'm in a good location where, in terms of Newport, which is not too far away from Bristol. If I have to go there, preferably not, but I'm not too far away from Cardiff either. I love sport Wales, though, but.
I was going to ask you. I ask many of the CRIW apprentices. I mean, would you honestly say that you would have been able to take up all these opportunities if you couldn't drive?
No, unfortunately not. No, I don't think so. Which is unfortunately is because I was thinking about this the other week. It is a bit of a barrier. Because if a good thing about Wales that you can be on the other side of the country in an hour. Well, not other side of the country. You can be in like Bridgend or that, or something like that in an hour if you're talking from starting point of Newport. But you unfortunately, unless you're in a role which I haven't really seen any, which doesn't require you driving unless you're acting. But
yes, you get picked up.
Yeah, you get picked up, and you have a driver taking you back home as well, and it's but yeah, I unfortunately it is a big barrier. But there are, like, I've noticed that there's some resources in order to help with that, and I believe there's a Screen Skills bursary or a loan or something like that you can use in order to get a driving license.
Definitely, I think I know of a couple of people who applied and who have had the I think it was a bursary from Screen Skills, which is great, because I think you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, you really do need to drive, don't you? Definitely starting off in this industry,
Yeah. Until you get to the levels where you can get picked up, but I don't think that'll happen with me in production. But
no, but I think if you're working in one place, you could possibly car share or
yeah,
you know
definitely.
What I mean?
I quite like having my car on me though, just because I like to be able to be like, oh, okay, I'll just go quickly. Or I can do I'll be able to do that job. I can go out because I've got my car on me.
So then you mentioned that you went on to Dope Girls. Was that your last? Did anything come in between Saving Lives and Dope Girls?
No, I believe I had 1 week off and then I was straight onto Dope Girls.
Oh my god!
and quite funnily enough, I actually spent that week off for the majority of it in Liverpool, and so it's coming up again. But I had 1 week to myself, and then I was straight onto Dope Girls up in Bridgend. And I love Dope Girls. I mentioned about how I said, sex ed was for opportunity for me to be like, I quite like this industry. Dope Girls was definitely for, okay, you can do this industry, you are in it now, and you are like you quite like it if you get what I mean. And I was very fortunate again, and I had a brilliant production team. I had people that were going out of their way to like teach me things, and I was never afraid to ask questions twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times normally, but yeah, I had a really good I had a really good time with Dope Girls and with everyone on that. Yeah.
Brilliant. So then, from Dope Girls, was it working with the team on Dope Girls that you got your next job, got Mr. Burton?
Yeah. So I had a phone call from Kathy, who was the line producer on Dope Girls, who I really like actually. She's brilliant. She really
Right.
is. And she had rang me to ask whether or not I was still an apprentice. And if I wasn't, would I be free in order to do a film that she was doing? And in that phone call, she had mentioned that I'd be working with Bailey again.
Brilliant.
And I was already going to say yes to Kathy, but once I heard Bailey, and I was like, yes, I want to, I'll be on there, yeah, of course, because I knew it was going to be a brilliant team, and yeah, so I was able to get that. I was able to get my first proper job in this industry by being a part of a production team on a traineeship. So I was fortunate for that. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you started that sort of what, last May, was it?
Well, not last May. So it would be. I started that in. Oh, sorry. You mean Mr. Burton? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I did. I started Mr. Burton mid-May.
Right.
And yeah, that was a good job. That was my first for training wheels are off type of job, and you kind of got you're out there on your own. But then that's when I learned that you're on your own, but also you do have your team, and and you still have like a safe environment within your team, and it's I didn't. Sorry.
I was going to say your stabilizers were off, weren't they? You were running free.
Yeah, and but even then, I still had the the stabilizers might have been off, but I still had like a parent to wheel me, to I still had that that's a bit of security there with a brilliant team on there, because again, like Dope Girls, I was never afraid to ask the question again. Everyone was very accommodating of me. Yeah.
Brilliant. So Mr. Burton, Jack, is it a TV drama or is it a film, or do you know what medium it's going on?
So it's a Mr. Burton's a film.
Right.
It's about Richard Burton's early life, and about how he Richard Burton wasn't. I never knew this, and this is always the interesting thing about going on to a job, is where you look at the if it's based off something, or like something if it's based off real life, going and learning about the history of the of subject, and then coming onto it. And I wasn't aware that Richard Burton, his original name was Richard Jenkins, and the Burton came from his school teacher, which adopted him when he was a kid, in order for him to be able to be an effective actor because of his name. It was all that type of stuff back in 1940s, 50s, which your name meant something, and by having that Burton name, it was really influential in order to get him to his historic Hollywood career. But,
oh my God, I know.
Yeah, that was a good job. That was a really fun job.
In a way, those are the bits we don't hear about. We hear about him and Elizabeth Taylor, and him and his drinking, maybe, and him and all his films.
Yeah.
But you don't hear about that starting off period, do you?
Yeah. And and my mum does a lot of work with that, and that's like kind of the most important part of your life, is starting off part about it. And he managed to make something of himself, even though we had so much adversity against him. But
yes, of course, she's brilliant. So when did you finish on Mr. Burton? Was it recently you finished on that?
So I finished around end of August.
Right.
And that was so from then till I went on holiday. I managed to have a quick holiday. Went to Tenerife with a couple of my friends, and then got the day after I came back, I had a message from Bailey asking whether or not I was free, and whether or not I wanted to do my next job, and I was like, yes, I do.
Fantastic. So realistically, you get you're networking, but you're networking with a load of people that you really like and you like working with, which is great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant. I like again, like towards this part of the of a pre-job like emotions, I'd be feeling like really nervous about going on to something, especially if I like if it's new. But I'm not really feeling that now because I know that I've got like I know who I'm working with. I know I know how they work. It's yeah.
Brilliant. So your next job starts next Monday, yeah, after you come back from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And how long does that take? Does that take you to Christmas or?
It does, yeah. So it's because it's a feature film. It's only a short shoot. So it'll take me to Christmas. And then after that, it should be free. So, but again, that's perfect timing for me.
Yes.
Because I've got I think my end date is 20th of December, so I've got 5 days to prepare for Christmas. But,
do you know what? That's really nice. It is really nice to work up to Christmas. You've been busy and you feel like you deserve your Christmas off.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and it's always nice working during it because you do offer like I know last time on Dope Girls we had some Christmas events and stuff like that. Did Christmas jumper day, so like knowing that we got all of that, I've got a job that I can do all of that on as well. It will be fun.
Lovely. It sounds great, Jack. It sounds like you're having a ball.
Yeah, I am, to be fair. Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for giving up your time today for me, and have a wonderful time in Liverpool.
Oh, yeah, I will. I hope so. Yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's just been lovely to hear about your journey.
Yeah, and like it's a lot. I do owe a lot of it to Skill Cymru, because obviously without Skill Cymru, I wouldn't have been able to do all of this. So yeah.
And a lot of that's down to you as well, Jack. So.
No, thank you.
I'm very proud of you.
No.